Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive topic: why fear feels more real than logic. So picture this for a second. You're just sitting in your room, totally safe, scrolling on your phone. Literally nothing is wrong. But out of absolutely nowhere, your heart starts pounding against your ribs, your palms get super sweaty, and your stomach drops like you're instantly at the top of a giant roller coaster. You logically know you're fine, right? But your body is prepping for an actual zombie apocalypse. So why exactly does that happen?
Well, why does fear feel so incredibly real, even when logic completely knows you're safe? It's literally a universal glitch in the human experience. Irrational anxiety hits absolutely everyone. Doesn't matter if you're about to take a massive test or just walking into a crowded cafeteria. To really understand why fear feels so intensely real, we have to look at the raw speed of our brain's reactions. I want you to think of your brain's logic center as this really slow, meticulous mathematician. They're carefully drawing out a massive, complex algebra equation on a chalkboard. It's super accurate, but man, it takes its sweet time. Fear, on the other hand, fear is an Olympic sprinter hopped up on energy drinks. It is unbelievably fast and completely physically overwhelming. It floods your system and takes total control before your logical brain has even picked up the chalk.
Okay, let's dive into this because this right here is the ultimate paradigm shift for the entire explainer. If you take away just one concept today, please let it be this. Fear is an alarm system, not a truth system. Just kind of repeat that in your head for a second. This completely flips how we normally handle our own anxiety. See, most of the time, we treat fear like it's a judge delivering this perfectly weighed, objective verdict on reality. We tell ourselves, well, I feel terrified, so things must be terrible. But guys, it's not a judge. It's literally just a loud bell ringing to get your immediate attention. It doesn't know the facts. It just knows how to make a ton of noise. To put it another way, think of fear as a detector, not an investigator. You know that annoying smoke alarm in your kitchen? When that goes off, it doesn't stop to carefully analyze the stove, smell the candle, and logically deduce that you just burnt your toast. It absolutely does not care about context. It just reacts to a specific pattern, smoke, and immediately starts screaming. Its job isn't to debate reality with you. Its job is to alert you, just in case. And fear works exactly the same way. It spots a sudden change in your best friend's text message tone or a weird look from someone in the hallway and instantly sounds the alarm. You can really see this difference when you compare a calm mind to a fearful mind. A calm mind is super open. It asks these great wide-angled questions like, hey, what are the actual odds of this happening? Or what else could logically explain this situation? But fear? Oh, fear shrinks your entire universe down into one single terrifying question. What if this goes terribly wrong? It is exactly like trying to view a whole room through a tiny, narrow keyhole. You completely lose all the wider context, the good stuff, the neutral stuff, and suddenly whatever is directly in front of that keyhole looks incredibly massive and threatening. And here is where the biology gets super fascinating. We usually think we feel scared because of what we're thinking about, right? Like the thought causes the fear. But actually, fear is physical way before it's ever mental. It works exactly like a thermostat. You know how a heater kicks on before you even consciously realize the room got cold? That's what happens here. First, your body activates. Your chest tightens, your muscles tense up. Second, your mind suddenly notices your body freaking out and starts frantically narrating, oh no, something must be wrong. And only third does your logic come stumbling in, totally out of breath, trying to make sense of the whole mess. You literally feel the fear first and you try to explain it second. And this brilliantly illustrates why we're wired this way in the first place. It all comes down to basic survival bias from our caveman ancestors. Your internal biology would vastly prefer a 90% false alarm rate, where you just feel embarrassed or a bit stressed out over literally nothing, rather than risking even a tiny 10% chance of missing a real deadly danger. Think about it. If you mistake a stick for a snake, you just look a little silly. But if you mistake a snake for a stick, yeah, you're dead. So you end up with this highly sensitive internal microphone that picks up every single chair scrape, heavy breath, and rustling leaf. Basically, your brain prefers to be super annoying rather than let you get eaten. Which naturally brings us to the ultimate conflict of the whole explainer. You're probably wondering, okay, if my logic is actually so smart, and I know it is, why does it get completely hijacked and defeated by fear every single time? Well, the truth is, your logic isn't destroyed. It hasn't just packed its bags and abandoned your brain. You are still a smart person. Your logic is simply being outcompeted for mental bandwidth by extreme urgency. It is an attention issue, not an intelligence issue. Let's actually sketch out what that looks like inside your head. So think of your brain not as some quiet Zen library, but as this incredibly busy, chaotic control center. When fear rises, it does three big things all at once. It instantly cranks up the urgency,
It narrows your attention down to tunnel vision, and it makes any threat-related information feel like the absolute most important thing in the universe. Imagine a group of people sitting around a table having a totally calm, rational discussion, trying to put a jigsaw puzzle together. Suddenly, some guy bursts into the room, banging a deafening fire bell. All that rational discussion instantly interrupted. Nobody cares about the puzzle anymore. And that blaring fire bell triggers what psychologists call the hijack loop. Let's break this down. First, your body feels an unpleasant tension. Maybe it's a super tight stomach right before a major presentation. Second, your mind takes that purely physical feeling and treats it as absolute, undeniable proof that something is horribly wrong. It thinks, well, I feel sick, so I must be failing. Then third, that terrifying interpretation pumps even more stress chemicals into your system, making your stomach hurt even worse. Your nervous system is literally tricking your mind into believing the danger is real simply because the body feels tense. It's a closed, constantly accelerating feedback loop. Honestly, it's exactly like trying to read a perfectly drawn, highly detailed map while standing on a bus with no shocks, driving over a terrible, bumpy dirt road. You might have all the clear facts and logic right in front of you, that's your map, but if your nervous system is vibrating with panic, that's the shaking bus, that map feels completely useless and totally untrustworthy. It's not that the map is wrong, it's just that you literally can't focus on the directions when the ground beneath your feet feels like an active earthquake. So the crucial point is this. Facts and fear do not fight on the same battlefield. They operate on totally, completely different wavelengths. Facts work through meaning, sequence, and careful comparison, right? It takes actual time to process them. Fear works through salience, screaming urgency, and intense bodily activation. Correct facts rarely win an argument just by shouting louder. When your body is locked into an intense biological protection mode, your mind simply does not have the capacity to process the sequence and comparison of those facts. It's too busy surviving. Because of this massive mismatch, we really need to understand what our logic actually requires to boot back up. Figuring this out is honestly like unlocking a cheat code for your brain. Pay close attention here. To work effectively, reason requires calmness to hold multiple possibilities at once. It needs focused attention to compare evidence. It requires distance to separate that physical feeling from the actual fact. And most importantly, it needs time. Time to just let that internal smoke alarm settle down. You have to actively create these conditions to give your logical brain the space it needs to pick the chalk back up. Which leads us to this incredibly empowering realization. Clear thinking under pressure is not the absence of fear, but the ability to see through it. I love this because it is huge. You do not need to completely eliminate fear to think clearly. Honestly, doing that is biologically impossible anyway, so stop being so hard on yourself. You just need to recognize the alarm for what it is. You acknowledge the shaking bus, you feel the bumps, but you keep your eyes fixed firmly on the map anyway. So we arrive at our final question for today. The next time your internal alarm rings, and trust me, it definitely will, maybe even later today, will you blindly obey it, or will you take a deep breath and just pause to observe it? Will you remember that your fear is just a really noisy detector and not some brilliant investigator? By understanding the mechanics of panic that we've mapped out today, you're now equipped to create that absolutely crucial space between the alarm and your reaction. And that space, that is exactly where clarity lives. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.